And we're back. Welcome to Real People, Real Fitness, where we talk about real people and real fitness and real people and the real fitness in the real world. This is episode 2, and I think we're up to like over 2 listeners, if I'm not mistaken. We're not totally launched on all the podcast platforms yet, but you can still catch us on YouTube. Hopefully, it'll be set up very soon on all the other stuff. Today's episode, it's kind of about endurance athletes. It's kind of about comeback stories. It's kind of about perseverance and that sort of thing. And also kind of how real fitness fits into your lifestyle. I was doing a Peloton class the other day, and Matt Wilpers, one of the Peloton instructors, made a really interesting point. He was like, fitness really is a lifestyle. And everybody that you know that's into fitness, that's kind of true. They kind of are really, really into it. So, for me today, I was going to get up and I was going to go do some working out, and we'll get into all that later. But I realized that we had 2 guests checking in today at our Airbnb. I thought it was just 1, but it's actually 2. So I had to do like a lot more mowing. So I've been out mowing all morning, where I thought I was going to be doing some of this mowing tomorrow. So I kind of had to jump in with some real life fitness and get rid of or put on the back burner the other stuff. So anyway, so now let me introduce today's guest, because today we have an athlete, late 20s. She joined me a few times on the Peloton People podcast, where we come from, and she's just got an incredible story. So her name is Serena Myers. She hails from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And I would almost say she's an extreme endurance athlete. She's actually competed and finished in the Dopey at Walt Disney World. We'll get into that more later, but the Dopey is just what it sounds like. It is really dopey. I was thinking it was the Goofy, because the Goofy sounds pretty crazy too, but Dopey's even crazier. She struggled with injuries from time to time, which, sometimes happens. So we're going to hear about how she overcame that, and just hear about where she's at now, where she wants to go, all that kind of stuff. So today's episode is about pushing the limits and then figuring how to come back when your limits push back at you. So Serena, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
It's so great to have you. Let's see, where are we going to start today? So take me back. Like, you're in your late 20s, and how long have you really been into fitness?
I guess my entire life. So I guess going back into my childhood, I was a competitive dancer. So I
Okay.
started competing in dance when I was in kindergarten. But even before that, I mean, my childhood was very unique. I grew up with a father who weighed 400 pounds, so he wasn't active at all. And then I had a mother who was obsessed with fitness. And so I just kind of had to decide, like, do I want to go towards like where my father is, or do I want to stay like where my mother is? So I can remember at like around the age of 6, I would sneak into my mom's bedroom and I would go on her elliptical. I would pop in like her VHS tapes and do her workout videos. So I just remember like 6, 7, 8 years old starting my fitness journey.
That's a crazy dynamic. So your dad on one extreme just did nothing, and your mom worked out all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Now,
was
do
a
you
very
remember,
interesting dynamic.
like, what are your first memories? Like, do you remember that first dance recital? Can you remember all that stuff, or is it just kind of hazy?
No, I definitely do. So I started dance when I was around 3 years old, and they call them like recreational classes. So it's building your fundamentals. I don't remember much of that time, but I do remember when I was in kindergarten, my goal was to be a competitive dancer. And so I had tried out for this dance team, I made it. And I was just so excited. I remember like all the dance competitions. I would go to school and still have like my makeup on, and kids would be like, "Oh, what were you doing?" I was at a dance competition. Like, it was just so much fun. So I guess I really got into fitness like right around that age.
Now, going from dance, how long were you in dance?
I competed in dance all through high school, and then for a couple years after high school, they would call me back if they were going to like a national dance competition and a girl was injured. They would call me back and I would learn the dance and I would basically fill in for her in
Wow.
that dance.
How big was the dance team?
Oh, they had a group for every age. So a couple hundred girls.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like AAU, but for dance in a
Right.
way. And
Right.
it's year round too, right?
Yep, year round. You had maybe like 4 weeks off during the whole year because then like around Christmas time, in Pittsburgh, they would have us come and do performances like light up night, and like different Christmas shows with like Santa and stuff. So yeah.
That is so neat. Now,
Mhm.
did you go? Uh, were you just doing fit? I mean, were you just doing the dancing, or were you doing fitness workouts? I mean, what kind of stuff did they have you guys doing?
So we always did like strength and conditioning classes. That was part of dance. I also did martial arts growing up. So that was
Okay.
like a whole different aspect to me finding my fitness. And then I did cross country for a couple years when I was in middle school, and I was horrible. Like, I was the worst kid in cross country. I was finishing last. People were stretching and going home, and I was still finishing the course.
Oh,
And I
yep.
was just, I'm very Irish, so I got very red. People were like, "Are you okay?"
Now,
No, I'm not. I can't breathe.
did you enjoy the cross country?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
All right. So now, was that your only sport in middle school, high school, like traditional sport?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you cheer or anything in high school?
Yes, I went into cheerleading in high school.
Okay.
My 11th grade year, I transitioned into cheerleading.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Huh. And then so going back to karate, how long are you still doing karate, or is that phase done?
No, I ended up ending that my senior year of high school when I dislocated my shoulders.
Oh, okay. Is that where all the shoulders problems came from? Was high
So
school?
it actually, yes, high school. It was going into my senior year. It was cheerleading, and we were at a cheer camp. And I remember in 11th grade, I was very small. I was just like this little, like 5 foot nothing girl. And so I was always the one who they called the flyer. I was being lifted. Well, going into my senior year at this camp, the girls said that they wanted to switch roles. So they had me push a girl above my head and it popped my shoulders out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's the story of how I first dislocated my shoulders. And then I had to get surgery on both of them to repair the capsules. So,
Now, have you only had one surgery on them so far? Because you still have shoulder problems,
no.
don't you?
I've had one surgery on the right and two on the left. So I have 3 screws on the right and five on the left.
Now, does it feel normal now, or can you still tell when you wake up in the day every day?
Um, I can kind of tell, like, I have to sleep a certain way so I don't put too much pressure on them. And then they're pretty tight now. So whenever I raise my arms, I can't like fully get them above my head. But
Huh.
other than that, I don't have a ton of issues.
Does that make you resent dance at all? I mean, do you ever like think if I didn't do dance, I wouldn't? Well, I guess this was cheering though, right?
Yeah, that was cheerleading. I guess whenever I had dislocated my shoulders and I was seeing the surgeon, he told me that my joints are just super loose. I have Ehlers-Danlos. So said it was like a ticking time bomb, and that dance just kind of made it progress quicker.
So it probably would have happened anyway.
Right.
Okay. Huh. Now, is it just the shoulders, or I'm not familiar with that condition. So tell me, educate me.
I basically have hypermobility in all of my
Okay.
joints. It's not just my shoulders, but those were the first ones to go. But I've always had issues like with my jaw, my elbows, my knees, my hips.
Gosh, that does not sound pleasant. Like,
No,
do you find it? Now, does stretching help you, or like
no,
yoga?
stretching hurts me.
Okay, so you don't do any yoga or stretching or any stuff like that, right?
Not really at this point, no.
Okay, that's good that you figured that out and realized that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what belt did you get to in karate?
2nd degree black belt.
For real? I did taekwondo when I guess I was in high school too, and I loved it, but we
Yeah.
sparred way too hard in my class, and I guess I kind of quit just because I was just tired of getting beat up. Like people would like break their noses, and I mean it was like rough. It was rough stuff, and but I did like it. It was great training because, and I don't know if your karate class did this, but we would do stations, like where you'd be on the bag for a couple of minutes and then you go to another. So I mean, it was like cross training way back before cross training was
Yes.
really a thing, and
Yeah,
I
we did
enjoyed it.
stuff just like that.
You ever think about going back?
No.
I do
I
occasionally.
do you?
Yeah. There was a
I
guy in my
just
class. He was in his late 70s, and he was a doctor in Murfreesboro. And I can just remember him. I mean, he couldn't kick higher than that much off the ground, but he was there every day. It was just crazy. I do kind of miss it. I had forgotten I even did karate until you said so, and I think I only got to like a green or brown belt. I don't even remember which belt color I was, but I never got as high as you did. That's impressive. Okay,
thank you.
so now you finished high school, so cheering is done, right? You don't cheer anymore in college or
No.
anything? Okay.
Nope.
So then where does your fitness journey pick up after that?
Okay, so then I went into college and I took a couple years off from everything. I had gained some weight. Didn't really do much at all in college until COVID. And then whenever COVID hit, it was like a switch went off in my brain and I ended up seeing a commercial for Beachbody.
Okay.
And I remember watching that commercial, and it could have been just like me locked up in my home, but I thought, oh, I could order that equipment and I can get myself back into shape. So that's what I did. I got the equipment in. I did those workouts every day in my room, waiting to see if we were going to go back into school or not for my senior year. And then we ended up not going back in person. So I moved back home to Pittsburgh to be with my mom. And I was living with my parents at that time. And we both kind of got into doing Beachbody. And I got into one of the best shapes of my life doing that program. I just did this 180-day program repeatedly
Which
until
program was it that you did?
it was with Autumn Calabrese. It was called the 80-Day Obsession.
Okay. I've heard of that actually. I've never tried it, but I have heard of that.
It is a very good program. It's intense. It's like an hour every day, which at that point in my fitness journey was intense for me. Now, not so much.
Right.
But that led me to dislocating my left shoulder again.
Oh no. Doing that program?
Yes.
Okay. Now is your
Yeah.
mom doing it? Is she working out with you when you're doing these at home?
Not simultaneously, but we were doing it together,
Okay.
just
Okay.
like as accountability at that point, because I had gotten to be pretty overweight in college. And so I started it on my own. I wanted to lose some weight, lost probably about 40 pounds at first, and then me and my mom could keep up with each other. So we were accountable with each other and we did it together.
That's really neat. Okay,
Yeah.
so then what did you stay with Beachbody for a while after that?
So once I dislocated my shoulder, I had to get another surgery on it, which I had already been through too, so I was fine with that. While I was resting from this surgery, my mom got into Peloton.
Okay, so she
And
was the one that
so,
got into it first. Okay.
yes, that's where the Peloton story starts. Once I was in my sling and I was like able to start walking more, doing a little bit of exercise with like my legs, my mom said to me, "Hey, I really like this Peloton thing. Why don't you try it?" And I made fun of her so badly for doing Peloton.
Oh,
I
that's
was
funny.
like, "Oh, that can't be a real workout. Like, what are you doing on there?" Well, then I ended up starting to hike with Kirsten
Oh,
on
yeah.
they just had like a regular beat up tread and I would take an iPad, set it up, and I would hike with her and I fell in love with it. So now I can't stop Pelotoning.
Did your mom start with the bike or did she start with the tread?
She started with the bike.
Okay, okay. So you had the bike available to you as well, but
Yes.
you probably didn't have shoes yet and all that kind of stuff, so you
I
just
didn't
tried.
have shoes, I was still in the sling,
Okay.
so I was a little weary on getting on a bike with the sling on. With how my shoulders were, they kept me in the sling for 12 weeks.
Okay.
So, I had, like, about 3 months there where I was just hiking with a sling, being very careful.
Now, last time we talked, you introduced me to something called P-Volve, is that right?
Evolved.
Are you still doing that?
You know what? I haven't done that in maybe a month. I'm really
Okay,
bad about fitting that in
okay.
because I have gotten back into alternating Peloton workouts and my body workouts. I've gotten back
Mhm.
into doing some of those strength workouts. So I need to get back into that. But they are also great. They have
Yeah,
very great, almost like physical therapy ish type
I know.
workouts.
It looks really neat. My wife, Jennifer, was looking into it, and I was like, "Yeah, you should try it out." But
Yeah.
they got, like, a mat or something, and
Yeah.
I didn't really understand all that goes with it. What all do you have with it? Do you have all the
I
stuff?
have a lot of the bands. I have the
Okay.
sliders, some ankle weights.
Okay.
I don't have the mat. My mom does. But I think that if you're somebody who's been into fitness for a very long time, you don't really need the mat
Okay.
because it kind of just helps you with your like foot placement. But if you know your body really well and you've been working out for an extended period of time, then mat isn't necessary.
Now, for anybody that doesn't know what P-Volve is,
Mhm.
describe it a little bit, like what kind of workouts it is and stuff like that.
It is more like movement patterns. They never repeat the same exercises in one routine.
Huh.
It's a lot of like internal and external rotations and using bands instead of weights.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like functional movement patterns.
So it's gentler on your body. Is that
It's
kind of
supposed to be low impact.
okay? That sounds kind of neat. So now,
Yeah.
is your mom? Is she still as active as always, even when you were a little kid?
Oh, more so. Well, when I was a little kid, the the types of videos that people were doing were like walk away the pounds and the wave. Like those are the videos I remember from when I was a kid. But now she's more into, I guess what you would call training versus exercising, which
Yeah,
is what they talk about on Peloton a lot. Is you're not really working out, you're training at this point.
that is kind of true, and I think Peloton's really evolved. Don't you think it's really evolved since we
Oh,
first
a
started using it?
100%. Yes.
And for the better, I might add. If you ever go to the Facebook Peloton pages and stuff, you would think the sky was falling, but I mean, for me, it's just gotten better and better.
Absolutely.
I really do love it. Now, how let's circle back to your father. Did he ever get into fitness at all?
That is a very interesting story. So, I was very young. He was 400 pounds. Him and my mother have never had a great relationship, right? So, I think it was partially due to how young they were when they had my older brother and I, but
Mhm.
also like just their extremes. My father was basically addicted to food and my mother despised food.
That's
So
tough,
they
that's
they
tough.
didn't have a lot in common. Um so my father, even though we lived in the same house, he wasn't present in mine or my older brother's life very much.
Mhm.
Like people didn't even know I had a father.
Right.
So then my mother ended up getting pregnant again when I was 11 and my father had kind of realized that he wasn't present in our lives. So he went on his own journey to lose a bunch of weight. He lost about 200 pounds. And then he was
Wow.
able to be very active in my younger brother's life, which was good.
Now is that
But
repaired? Oh, go ahead.
his fitness journey, he ended up getting into running
Okay.
and then he tore his Achilles tendon.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, now once he started getting into fitness and everything and more active in your younger brother's life, did that improve y'all's relationship? G
Not at that time,
Okay,
no. We have a better relationship now.
that's good.
He Yes, he my parents still live together, they're separated, but they live in the same house with my
Okay,
younger brother. So I see him, like, once every couple of weeks, and over the summertime, like, if I'm running outside, he'll bike behind me, or, like, we can go on bike rides together, but, we will never be as close as my mother and I are.
sure. sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it shows too, like, it's never too late, to like heal relationships and stuff like that. I
Right.
just I had some people stopped by to see us the other day, and there were a couple of brothers from Arkansas, and one of them lives close to us, and they were just such a tight, close family, and like, and I was kind of envious of that. My own family too. We've gone through, I mean, seasons where we barely even spoke, and it's just like I look at families like that and I'm like, I get kind of jealous, about like,
Yeah.
just how well they get along. But I mean, it just shows you like everybody's got something, going on. I
Yeah.
most of the time I watch. Did you ever watch the show Yellowstone?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I was watching Yellowstone when it first came out. And I was like, yeah, my family has a lot of similarities to this. I mean, it's a nutty show. Like all the guy who does that show, all his shows are like that. So that's really neat. So now, one thing I'm trying to do, and this is really stupid on my part, but every guest I have on the show, I'm going to try to do a workout that they do. And so you sent me your workout one day from last week, and it was actually pretty hard. So you sent me a 60-minute Matt Wilpers Power Zone ride. Now I love Power Zone rides, but I've been running way more lately than riding, and I don't really run very fast, by the way. And so I thought this was hard. I really thought it was kind of, because they were long intervals too.
They were.
They were like 10 minutes or so in zone 3. Power zone training is the bomb, everybody. If you've never tried it, it is really good. And then you had a Jermaine Johnson 30-minute pull workout, I believe it was. And I had to find that one because I had to click on your profile to find it, because I guess it was in a program. So,
Yes.
and I have never done one of the split programs with Peloton. So I really enjoyed doing that. I usually use an app called Workouts by Macro Factor,
Mm.
which is kind of a weightlifting app that I really, really enjoy. But I love Jermaine, and I thought that class was great. And then I feel like you had a 5-minute core on there
Yeah.
as well. So I was like, this is pretty reasonable for Serena, and
Yeah.
95 minutes, it's doable. And but I was tired. I was really tired that day, and my strain was, through the roof. But it was fun. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we're going to get into today. Okay, so now one of my favorite stories of you is you kind of got really extreme. I mean, it kind of, talking to you before the show today, it sounds like you've kind of wrapped your head around that, and you're putting boundaries on yourself, which is good. I think that's healthy. It's almost like quality over, you know, just doing stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think you're starting to realize that. I'm kind of starting to realize that too. I've been working with AI a little bit lately, and AI. I don't know if you use AI much at all, like Chat GPT or something, but it'll agree with everything you say. Like, I mean,
Right.
that's the weakness. Well, my stupid AI fights me all the time on running. I mean, I just want to run hard, and it's like, you better not run hard today. Blah blah blah. I mean, it thinks I can only run hard like once, twice a week, which is actually sort of true. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
really a runner and you're old like me, that's really kind of all you need to do. But it's kind of nice to have those guardrails on there. But one of the things, and I think this is a really cool thing, but you went and you were kind of hurt when you were doing this too, but you did the dopey at Walt Disney World, right?
Correct.
Tell me about that.
Okay. Do you mind if I go back to my first marathon?
Oh, let's do that.
So, after I had my last shoulder surgery and I was doing the hikes on the tread, I then thought, well, why don't I try to get back into running? Because, of course, in middle school, it was horrible for me. So let me try again. So then I started doing the walk plus runs. And I remember starting with like the 20-minute walk plus runs, which only has 10 minutes of running in it.
Hmm.
And I was just tanked. Like it was horrible. But I started with that, got better. Then started going into, well, let's run 15 or 20 minutes at a time, got better. Then got the crazy idea because my father's dream while he was getting into fitness was to run the Walt Disney World Marathon. And while he was training for that is when he ruptured his Achilles tendon. So
Oh
he
no.
never got to run it.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, why don't I try to run it? And so I spent 8 months or so trying to get myself up to run this marathon. And I did it, which was amazing. I loved it so much. I think that was 2024 that I ran it, January 2024.
Okay.
And when you are there running the marathon, you kind of feel bad about yourself because people will ask you, "Oh, what are you running this weekend?" And your response tends to be just the marathon, because all of these people are around you running dopey. And I had not known what dopey was before I went to that marathon. So dopey is when you show up for that weekend and you run the 5K on Thursday morning, the 10K on Friday morning, the half marathon on Saturday morning, and Sunday morning you run the full marathon. So it's
That seems
48.6 miles. And I thought these people were crazy. I couldn't even fathom that somebody would want to go out there and wake up at 2 a.m. to run 48.6 miles, because all of these races are at 5 a.m. You have about a mile long walk off the bus to get to the corral, and then you stand there for about an hour and a half waiting for your turn to run.
Was it cold any of the times you've done it?
The last time, well, when I did Dopey, it was around 35 degrees whenever you start.
Oh, that's I've done Disney one time myself. That was my first marathon too. And I was actually your age that you are now when I did my first Disney marathon. And I just remember being so cold at the start. You know, it warms up quick in Florida, but like you said, you start so early,
Yep,
and back in my day, you just wear a garbage bag. That's kind of how you stayed warm. But I don't remember I don't even remember them having all those races back when I did it. But that's gosh, that's 30 plus years ago. So you just maybe they didn't even have all the different races. But I don't know how you did it. I just I so your first day. Okay, we'll go back to so you finish your first marathon.
yeah, finished my first marathon. So then I'm
And
like,
oh, wait, wait, wait,
how
wait, stop right there.
yeah,
How did you feel after you finished that first marathon? I mean, what
I think
how
so I don't remember exactly how I felt. I call it romanticizing the past, but I
uh-huh.
really romanticized that first marathon. So
Yeah.
I believe I called my fiance as soon as I got done and I said that was horrible and I'm never doing that again. That's what he tells me I said to him. I don't remember saying that, but I'm sure I did say it.
I thought your first marathon, it's just such a I mean, I can just remember just feeling like just pure joy, like, wow, that's pretty neat when you think about how far you're running. And
Yeah,
and the other thing I loved about the marathon is nobody ever asks you how your time. I mean, it's
never.
very rare. Like if you do a 5K or a 10K or something, people ask you how you did or what your time was. Nobody ever asks that in the marathon, ever.
Right,
So I kind of like that about the marathon myself. But
right.
okay. So you finish this race. How
Finished
long before you started thinking crazy thoughts of doing this dopey thing?
maybe a month. So the marathon is like around the second weekend of January every year. So
Right.
I know by February I had decided I wanted to do the Dopey.
Okay. Okay.
And I definitely at that point, I didn't see myself as an athlete still, but I had built more confidence. I thought, okay, I've done a marathon. How hard could it be to add on about 19 more miles? It seemed reasonable in my head. So I think I signed up through a charity because Dopey is very hard to get into on registration day, but
Mhm.
charities open up ahead of time. So if I can run with a charity, donate to whatever cause I had decided, I believe I ran Dopey with Scott Carter Foundation,
Okay.
possibly. I can't remember. I've ran with a bunch of charities at this point, but ran with the charity so that I got early registration into Dopey, and I just started training right away. I at first wanted to get my body acclimated to just moving 4 days in a row like that. So I would do like maybe a walk one day, a run the next day, a walk the next day, a run the next day.
See, that sounds
Then
pretty reasonable.
yeah, see?
Yeah.
Thought so too. So then
Not the
my little
dopey part, your training part sounds pretty reasonable.
then my little brother decided that he was going to run his first half marathon the weekend that I ran Dopey, which then of course my mom was like, "Oh, I'm going to run my first half marathon that weekend as well." So
Wow.
they ended up signing up for the 5K, 10K and half marathons
So
to
they're
run them all
crazy
with
too.
me.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool because I got to train my little brother to run his first half.
Wow.
So
Now
my training,
is your little brother using Peloton also? At the
no,
Okay.
no, he wasn't using Peloton. He really didn't have a lot of motivation for it other than he wanted to tell his friends that he had ran a half marathon because he was 15 going on 16 at this point.
That's
So he
funny.
was just excited to kind of gloat about it. Um, so that's how my training ended up transpiring into I believe I would run a 5K on Thursdays. I would walk, run my training for the 10K on Fridays. Saturdays, I would take my little brother to the park and train him for the half. And then Sundays, I was basically training myself for a full.
Okay. What was your longest run that you got up to?
So I got up to 10 miles with him and 20 on my own.
Okay, that's about perfect, the 20 miler for that. Now, were you walking and running, or were you running the whole way? What
I was running the whole way.
Wow, that's now looking back now, so how long, because you kinda had some injuries pop up before then, right?
I
So
did. I had
and
stuff
it
with
was
my
pretty
feet.
close, wasn't it?
Yeah, my foot was a little bit injured before the marathon,
Uh,
whenever I just did the marathon. And then I was kind of resting it before the marathon, and then a couple weeks before started running again, and I was like, "Oh, I'm fine. Like I'm gonna be fine." And then the summer between the marathon and Dopey, I had re-injured it. And
oh
it
my
didn't
goodness.
feel great, but it didn't feel horrible, but I knew, like, what I was doing to it, it was gonna be hard to run these if I didn't rest. So I do remember taking about a couple weeks off to rest that injury at one point, and then I just hoped that it would hold on.
A and I guess it did hold on sorta because you made it through it
Mhm.
all, right? But
I
were you in
did.
pain at the end? I mean, was your foot really throbbing?
No, no. Oh, I did have another injury too that I I think I forgot about completely. I I've had 2 stress fractures,
Right?
and they've both been in the same leg, my right leg, and they've both been my femur,
Oh my.
but my first stress fracture was, like, in the mid shaft of my femur,
Uh-huh.
and that was also in the summer of 2024.
So that was before your first marathon, or
That
before
was
the Dopey?
before Dopey.
Okay. So the
Yes,
doctors are probably telling you not to run, and you're going, "Well, I'm gonna do Dopey anyway?" Is that kinda how that
correct.
worked? Okay.
Yes, so I believe it was 6 weeks off for that first stress fracture. I didn't handle it the right way at all. I will be the first one to tell anybody that. But when I went to the doctor and they told me that, I just was in such a mode of like, I want to do dopey and I don't really care what happens, that I just didn't go back to the doctor. I
Yeah.
just thought, I'm just going to rest it for a little while, go back into running. And if it doesn't bother me, I'm not going to worry about it.
I mean, on one hand, it shows your determination, and it also shows people they can do whatever they want, but then on the other hand, it's like, did I go too far? Did I, was it
Yes.
maybe not the right way to do it? You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
but but then when you get there, so did you feel good while you were running the races? I mean, did that
Yes.
part feel good?
I
Okay.
felt great.
So
I
so
felt great.
so by see, the half marathon would have worn me out for sure. So when you're at the starting line for the marathon, you can't feel fresh, right? I mean, there's just no way.
You don't necessarily feel fresh, but you're very emotional. And
Okay.
I'm not a super emotional person. And so it was weird for me to just feel all of the emotions because, again, I had my little brother and my mom with me for the first 3 races. The
That's amazing.
marathon, I'm on my own. And when you're standing there at the marathon waiting to go, the announcers will make jokes saying, "All of you dopey people out there, you're not even halfway through your miles." And so you're just overwhelmed. You're like, "Well, I only have one race left. My body is very fatigued. I've been waking up so early in the morning, but like I'm one race away from completing this challenge. Like you have to do it."
Well, you're so close. I guess you just got to keep going. Now,
You
was your
have to.
time? How was your time better during your marathon for the dopey than it was the year before?
It
Or
was.
okay, I figured it probably was.
It was. Now my times aren't great at all,
Right.
but it was still better than my first marathon, yeah.
That's neat. But it's not really about time with your
No.
running, is it? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's the other thing too is you run the half, and I felt great in the half. Like I was basically racing the last mile of the half, and my little brother was yelling at me to slow down.
Oh
I
wow.
said, "I'm not slowing down. Like we have to finish this." The marathon, when I got halfway through, you feel like you've done a full marathon at that point. So
Yeah.
I remember texting my family saying, "I can't believe I'm only halfway through. I
I
can't
bet.
imagine doing another half marathon right now."
Wow. Did you find I found this when I did the Disney, but it's so flat that
It
it
is.
almost felt real. When you get on the exit ramps and the off ramps, that almost felt like really good because it was just so flat. And
Yeah,
and I don't like hills at all anymore anyway. But I just remember that feeling good. And then the other thing I remember about doing it is did you ever go to the parks during any of this, or were you too tired?
no, I went to a park every single day after.
See when
You best believe I spent the entire day at the park, and we would get back to the room around 9 o'clock at night.
That is just insane to me. I remember when I did it, and I could barely go downstairs like the day after. Going up was no problem, but like going downstairs, it was just so painful. Now that's real.
Brutal.
Disney was really the only marathon I ever like tried time wise. I tried to run a good time there, and every other marathon, I just one time a guy bet me like I think it was $100 that I couldn't do a marathon, and I was way out of shape, and I was like, anybody can do a marathon. So I went out and did it. I regretted it, but I finished it. And but that Disney was the only one I ever tried. Okay, so you finished the dopey. Now you feel really great after doing that, right? I mean, like
Yeah, I wasn't injured or anything.
but I mean,
Like,
just the accomplishment. I mean, do you
oh,
feel like you can do anything in the world at
of
that point?
course. I
Yeah,
think that finishing dopey made me finally realize that, like, I was an athlete. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
I
cool.
finally felt like I wasn't just doing this to, like, prove a point. I felt like it had been who I was now.
Now, was your fiance? Did he go with you guys as well?
No,
Okay, he didn't make that trip. Okay. Now
no,
you mentioned an older brother. Is he into fitness as well?
not at all.
Huh.
No.
That's kinda interesting. Maybe
No,
someday.
he actually lost his, fantasy football league this year, and the punishment was supposed to be that you had to run a half marathon,
Oh, wow.
and I told him I would train him for it, and I think he just isn't saying anything to anyone hoping that they'll forget about it, because he
That's
doesn't
awesome.
wanna do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not a runner, a half marathon just seems so daunting. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Alright, that's neat. Okay, so how long after the dopey? Because you had some more injury problems after the dopey, right?
Yes, I had a very bad injury after
Yeah,
the
I remember
dopey.
this one.
After dopey, I had taken a couple weeks off to let my body recover. I think it was just something I read on the internet after my first marathon saying after you run a marathon, you want to take a couple weeks off to let your body relax.
Mhm.
So I had taken a couple weeks off. Then I started getting back into running a bit. I wasn't doing anything intense. And then I had decided to run the Columbus Marathon
Okay.
in October. And I thought, I'm going to actually try to get a good time. So I had joined the Run app
Mhm.
to try to figure out a good schedule for my running. And I started running about 5 to 6 times a week. This was
Yep.
probably May of, or no, it was before then, March or April of 2025. I had decided I'm going to like really try to get my time to be good, and I'm going to run 5 to 6 days a week, and I'm going to become just this athlete that nobody's ever seen before. I don't know why I thought that. But then I started getting some pains in my hip of that same leg that I had stress fractured my femur the year before. And I kept telling myself it was my hip flexor. And I ran for months with that pain. And the pain wouldn't hit so bad during my runs. But right after the run, after I had rested it for maybe half an hour, I was having trouble walking.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the pain was
crazy.
very intense and it was just putting weight on my leg. Then I decided, let's be smart about this. Let's only run 4 days a week. So I tried to only run 4 days a week and the pain was just still intense. I brought it down to three, brought it down to two, and then I have a very distinct day that I remember. It was a Sunday. I ran 12 miles. I came home. I sat down on the couch. I went to stand up and I couldn't walk.
Oh
And
my
I'm
goodness.
like, "You are injured." And I think in the back of my head, I knew I had a stress fracture, but I just didn't want to admit it to myself. So I went to my PT who had helped me with my shoulder injuries while I was
Uh-huh.
recovering from those. And he did an assessment. And maybe 10 minutes in, he said, "Sit down, ice your hip." He said, "You have a stress fracture for sure, and I don't want you doing anything else in here because I don't want it to break while you're sitting here." So went to the doctor. He did an MRI. The results came back within 30 minutes. I was on my drive from the facility to work because I had just taken a half day. And he called me and he said, "You need to get to my office. We have to crutch it." I had a femoral stress fracture right in the neck where the ball of your hip meets your femur. It was right
Oh
in that
my.
little skinny portion, and it was about halfway through. So he said, "We have to get you on crutches, completely non-weight bearing." It was about 12 weeks of not putting any weight on my leg, and every 2 to 3 weeks, he would take X-rays, and then at the end of it, he did another MRI to make sure it healed, but he had told me that if that would have broken off, I would have needed a hip replacement.
I can remember I can remember talking to you during that period of time, and you were just so depressed. Like you
Yeah.
were so down because you know it's kind of like the dark side of fitness. You know, you were because you were so addicted to just being extreme and then going to that next level. And I mean, because you know after the dopey, what can you do? You know, you're like, well, I want to be a good
Mhm.
runner. You know, I want to do a good time, so after that 12 weeks, were you able to come back slowly then?
Yes. I I would not recommend this to anybody.
Okay.
And so after I ran Dopey the first time, I of course signed up again.
Of course, I
And
remember that. Yeah.
Dopey is very expensive,
Yeah. Oh,
especially
yeah.
if you're running with a charity. You're paying over $1,000 to do
Well,
this to yourself.
Disney in itself is expensive, I mean, it's
Yes.
like yeah, it's all expensive. So you had already signed up for your next Dopey.
Already signed up.
Did you end up doing it?
Not the whole thing.
Okay, good. I was so worried about you back then. I was like, so what'd you end up doing?
Okay, well let's give a timeline. So
Okay.
August is when I finally went to the doctor and he said
Mhm.
you need to crutch it. So I was crutched all of September, all of October, going into November. And remember, Dopey is at the beginning of January. And during this time, as you said, I was very depressed. I was not in a good place mentally at all. And I definitely gained some weight during that process because my body was so used to hours of working out a day.
I know.
So November came around and he he had told me that I needed to take a couple months to get back into it. I wasn't supposed to run at all.
Right.
My thought process was, I'm not a very good patient, just as I am. And so I had agreed I'm going to give him this 12 weeks of total non weight bearing. And then it was another 3 weeks of slowly transitioning weight, getting back into walking. After that period, I was going to take it on my own. And I had
Okay.
told him that from the beginning. I said, I don't expect myself to run a full marathon at the beginning of January, but I do want to make it through some of this.
Okay.
So I went to PT all of December, and my PT is great, and he's very realistic. He was taking my strength a couple times a week, and he was watching how I was developing. He watched my gait on the treadmill, my running mechanics, and he told me, he's like, your leg is stronger than your other one. He said, you're doing great. Your strength has all come back. You're not running in any funky way. Like, you look great when you're running. And so I started kind of training again, not dopey training by
Right.
any means, but just run walking to see how much my body could physically do because I
Mhm.
was cardiovascularly out of shape.
Sure.
So I spent maybe 4 weeks of just run walking twice a week to see how far I could go. And I know I had done a 10K amount of miles before doing anything in Disney. And to me, if my body can make it to a 10K in training, I can make it through a half.
Fair.
So, Disney, I did the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon.
I'm proud of you for doing that. And I bet that was hard too. Like the Sunday morning, was it really hard to not be out there on the line for the?
My body naturally woke up at 2 a.m. that day.
Yeah,
And I looked at the clock and I considered it.
yeah. I
I
bet you did.
I was looking at my phone, the clock, and I'm like, am I really gonna miss it? Because it's that mentality again. You're only one race away. Yes, you haven't even done half the miles, but you only have one race left. And then you get 3 medals after it. One of
Yeah,
them being this huge dopey medal saying that you just ran 48.6 miles. So it's very hard to wake up that morning and not go to this race, but I didn't do it.
that
And I made
that
the smart
that is
decision and
pro
I
because
didn't do
it's
it.
just this past January, right?
Yep,
So are you? Let me ask you this question: Are you signed up for the Dopey again next year?
I am not.
Wow. Okay, so now we're to today. What does your typical week look like fitness wise?
Okay, I run 3 days a week. One of those runs is like a longer walk plus run.
Perfect.
One of them is just like a 45-minute long run.
Uh huh.
And then my third running day is actually a boot camp. So you're doing basically 10 minutes of running, 10 minutes of strength, 6 times in a row, and then you're done. So,
That's really good because that gets the interval kind of portion in there too.
right,
Okay.
right. And then 2 days a week I bike. I
Okay.
do a longer Peloton bike and a shorter Peloton bike.
Are
And
you just
then
doing power zones or are you doing just? I guess your
I
long one's probably a power zone, isn't it?
Right. My long one is a power zone, and then my other one is just music based, usually
Okay.
a Cody ride. I really enjoy Cody, so usually a Cody ride. And then the other 2 days I walk. So that would be like my cardio
That
split, if you want to call it.
that is so
Um,
reasonable.
yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
Now, how about strength? How about strength training wise? Is it just your treadmill class, your boot camp?
No, I do strength every day. I do
Okay.
core every day. Um, I do upper body on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I do lower body on Mondays. And then Wednesdays are like a heavier core day, is what I call it. So instead of doing like a 5 or 10 minute, I'll do like a 20 minute. And then Fridays, I usually do something that revolves around banded work. On body, they have something called a control track. It's basically like a pulley system on the wall. So
Okay.
I'll do something related to that on Fridays. And then Saturdays are my boot camp days.
That
So
is so reasonable, Serena. That that
thank you.
that is really neat.
See?
Anderson, and when I was talking to Anderson last week, I was surprised that one thing, he lifts almost every, well, he doesn't lift every day, but he does some really intense bodybuilding, but he also does an arms and light weights class every
Yes.
single day, and that's like 5-10 minutes of the 2-pound weights or whatever, and they are so challenging. I've been
Yes.
adding more of those in after I talked to him, and yeah, I love those. That's
I
so cool.
do
Oh, go ahead.
I do something like that every day as well. So on TikTok, there's a woman who does a bridal arm series, and
Mhm.
it's a 7-minute workout every day with light arms and weights. So I do that as
Perfect.
well.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I've loved it, and I'm trying to do more core myself as well. Now, what do you have any goals coming up? I mean, I know you're not doping anymore, but are you wanting to do any races? What's next for Serena goal wise?
So my goal after finishing the races that I just did in January was to scale back and to actually retrain the correct way. So
That is perfect.
yeah, so that's what I've been primarily focusing on. And it is just so much fun getting back into shape, and that's something that while you're, like, deep into your injury, you don't realize that on the other side of it, you're gonna have so much fun
I
getting
know.
back into it, and, like, the most changes that you see in yourself is when you go from not in your best shape to getting back into it because you see advances every single week. So, my running going from even just January to now, I mean, I just feel so much more proud of myself because I see those changes every week.
Well, yeah, and if you just keep reasonable, I mean, you're gonna see so many improvements. And I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm still struggling with that. Like my when I've had injuries in the past, it's always been my downfall, always.
Mhm.
And now I'm in pretty good health, and things are going up. But like I said, once again, my AI just keeps pulling me back, pulling me back. But I'm getting better. I'm doing a 5K every other week right now, and my goal is, and I don't race them all. I'm running hard, but I'm not going all out, because a lot of it for me is like, trying to remember what it's like to run fast, because I just don't run fast anymore. And so that's been fun. But my goal is to be decent when I turn 60, like to be like an age group runner. I'm not gonna beat any young people anymore, but I can at least beat other old men, right? I mean, you would think so. That's kind of been my goal. I've been having a great time with it. Now, let me
Yeah.
ask you this, Serena. Like, so basically, right now it sounds like you're most focused with Peloton, right? I mean, that's like
Yes,
95% of what you're doing. It sounds like.
correct. Like some of my lifting workouts, sometimes I do them on Peloton, sometimes I'll choose a body workout just depending on what I'm feeling.
Hmm.
But what's really nice about Peloton now is that those workouts that are in the programs, you don't have to do the full program now to
Right.
get to those workouts. So what I end up doing is because I usually like to do a pull day, a push day, and then a total upper body day during the week.
Perfect.
So you can only really get those pull and push days from the programs. So I'll go to the programs and in the search bar, I'll just put pull and then it'll pull all those workouts for me or all of the programs that have those workouts so I can just kind of decide which program I want to steal a workout from.
That's neat. Now, are you doing any type of supplements or special nutrition or anything like that right now?
Not really supplements. So right now I do like a protein shake in the morning. I'll
Okay.
do like a fruit and a bar at lunch and then um actually this week so I travel for work a lot and I ended up ordering from Factor, which is like really high protein dinners. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna try that out this week and see if I like that for when I'm traveling so that I'm not like eating out at restaurants or getting stuff from groceries and trying to put together like a microwave meal myself. But we'll
It's
see how
funny
I
you
like
mentioned
Factor.
that. Like, traveling is so hard, like fitness wise
Yeah.
too. Like, it's so
Hmm.
hard to keep your fitness up. I imagine you stay at places that have like Pelotons and stuff like that.
Yes. Yep. Every Hilton has a Peloton, so I always stay at a Hilton hotel.
I got you. I got you. Now, you had mentioned that you might be coming to Nashville here later this month,
Yes.
so I can't wait for you to stop by the farm for a tour. That's going to be
Yes.
awesome.
I'm
So,
excited.
hopefully you get to make it. I'm going to make sure that works out. Let's see, what else do I have for you? Oh, are you were doing any kind of wearables or any tech? Use any tech or anything like that?
Yeah, I have my Whoop. I always wear my Whoop.
Okay.
People make fun of me because I wear my Apple Watch too, and so they're like, "Oh, you're always double watched up." But my Apple Watch is mainly just for like time,
Yeah.
messages. email.
I'm the same way. I wore a Whoop and an Apple Watch too, but I kind of got where I only do the Apple Watch now. My Whoop
Mm,
membership I think is still active. I'm not going to renew it when it comes up, but I've gotten where I use this app called Livity a lot, and I really like it. It's very Whoop like, but it's just on the Apple Watch. It's probably not as good as Whoop is, but Whoop's just so expensive. I found so, but I don't know. But you love the Whoop, right?
yes, I love the Whoop.
Yeah,
I love it.
Jennifer uses it. Anderson still uses his all the time. I think Nikki got away from the Whoop as well, but those Jennifer and Anderson around here still use it. Although I think Jennifer might have lost her battery. So have you lost your Whoop battery ever?
No,
Yeah. Okay.
not
I
at
think
all.
she is. Well, I guess that's it. Serena,
Yeah.
thanks so much for sharing your story. I mean, I think it's such a good story, and it's kind of a happy story too. Because I mean, last time I talked to you, I was really worried about you. I mean,
I was worried about myself. We were
yeah,
all worried for me.
yeah, because I mean, when you run like that, and especially when you do something like a dopey, it's such an accomplishment. And then you just want more and more. You're just chasing that feeling, and at
Yes.
a certain point where you just kind of got to regroup and go, okay, what are my goals? What do I really want out of this? And I mean, I think you've got it. Your fiance works out. You work out. Your family. They all work. I mean, it's just you kind of got it going on right now, and you're doing all this while you travel. I mean, you travel almost every week, don't you?
Yeah, I travel 2 to 3 weeks a month,
Yeah.
so I'm traveling a lot.
That's hard, and that takes real discipline, by the way, to do to keep your workouts up on the road. Back when I used
Yeah.
to travel, that was a thorn in my side. I couldn't do it. I mean, I didn't enjoy it, working out at hotel gyms and running in strange places that I didn't know. I really didn't like that much. But, you know, hats off to you because it sounds like you're crushing it. I mean, that's
Coming back from injury, you just want it so bad.
yeah.
And that's something that if you're 3 years into, like, a solid routine, I think that you really take it for granted. But coming off of an injury where I couldn't do anything for 4 months, I mean, it just really is so much fun now to get back into it.
Now, do you find that you're able to listen to your body better now than you were before?
Yeah, I think I might have been injured a lot longer than I thought I was because, I mean, my body just feels so good now. It
Do you
just feels great.
Now, do you ever let your whoop dictate what you do? Like, if you don't have good recovery, will you dial it back that day? Or do you just do your workout regardless?
That's the thing too, is that whenever I was resting, my Whoop basically every day told me I was dying. It told me I was on my deathbed. My body loves working out. It loves
Yeah.
high strain, and so my recovery isn't really ever bad.
Oh,
Like,
that's
I
interesting.
I get very good sleep and I recover very well, and I know I even shocked myself the one day, on Whoop, they give you in your team, like, your weekly leaders, and the one week, I was the leader for both strain and recovery, and that really surprised me. I was like, "Wow." Like, that's how you know that your process is working
Yeah,
for me.
that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Serena, thanks so much for joining today. I mean, you were so honest and so forthcoming, and I mean that's what makes a really good guest. So that's another episode, everybody, of Real People, Real Fitness. Big thank you to Serena for sharing her story. If you're out there just trying to get a little bit better today, then this show is exactly for you. If you know somebody that this show might resonate with, send it to them. And if you'd like to be a guest, reach out in the comments on YouTube, or you can reach me at wkeithley, WKEATHLEY at gmail.com would get to me. And other than that, I'm William Keithley, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Serena. You
Thank
were
you.
awesome.
Thank you.